Hello everyone, welcome back to me, Manga Boy read some manga. This week he read 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 manga, the normal amount. No extras this time. No way, Jose, I can't do it. Okay, Haikyu, I finally decided to read Haikyu. We got to volume number 1 here. You can see the art is not quite as good as the anime, but it's pretty decent overall. I gotta say, you really notice it more on characters that aren't Hinata or Kageyama, but you know, it is pretty decent all things considered. That was a big thing for me, kind of worried about getting into Haikyu, is I wasn't going to be able to get into the art. The beginning is pretty much exactly what you remember from the anime, to the beat. You know, two punks who both love volleyball to get together on this wonderful high school team because they're too dumb to get into any high school. JK, they also have other reasons, like Hinata wants to become, one of the aces of Karasuke, the team that they're on, called the Little Giant. So Hinata's dream is to become the Little Giant. But Kageyama, on the other hand, is too dumb to join any other team, but he picks this one, and they actually are, rivals to each other in middle school in the one game that Hinata did get to play. And so for them to show up together on the same team, it's like, whoopsie daisy, we got ourselves a little surprise arena on our hands. And so it's a pretty cool concept to have them all work together. Hinata and Kageyama work together quite well because Kageyama is an excellent setter, and Hinata just plays purely with instinct alone. And so he does essentially what Kageyama wants without Kageyama even having to tell him what to do. However, the team brings with it its own set of drama. For example, the ace on the team he lost his nerve and ended up kind of quitting. And meanwhile, the libero, the guy who stands in the back, ends up quitting because he feels like it's not a full team without him. And so he feels that they need to be a whole team in order for him to play again, so he refuses to practice. However, because our team is looking so promising, we're able to get everybody back together for a practice game. And so it begins, essentially. It really starts off kind of like that. They're pretty much just a ragtag crew of volleyball players put together. There's a lot of drama involved. I really do enjoy Haikyu. I think it's at its best, though, with the volleyball. I get really engrossed into what's happening, which is kind of weird because I feel like whenever they play volleyball, aside from a few rounds, they really just say, okay, and then like 30 points were scored. And this is the score now. So this is where we're at, which is, something I'm not a big fan of because iShield 21, for example, keeps track of every point, which is really cool for the most part anyways. So to do that, I would feel like is kind of the service to the game, but it makes a lot of sense in the case of volleyball since they have to get so many points. They have to get, what is it, like 20, it's like first to 24 or something like that, except for they need to win by 2. Kind of like how in tennis, it's love, advantage, and then game. Or it's, 40 love or 40-30, and then you get the point and then that's match. But if you have a deuce, then you have to win by 2. So it's the same kind of thing as volleyball, except you have to get a lot more points, which I guess makes sense. There's a lot more people on the field, right? Rave Master, we're going to keep trucking on through. We're trying to get Hardner out of here, him and his Blue Guardians, okay? And they've got themselves a little bit of an Ethereum Master here. Or do they? Bum, bum, bum. So we find out that this Ethereum Master actually was lied to and doesn't want to be doing evil deeds. And so she actually begins to... Look at this guy right here. Do you guys see this? Darn, almost a sweet bath scene. So we start to rebel against Hardner, and Hardner's like, I don't care, I don't need you fools, I got the stick. And so he uses his stick, right? And the stick he uses to summon Ethereum. Now they also hint at an Ethereum. They use it to summon Endless. And the reason why he's going to do this is because he feels that everything was over after him and the original Resistance boss leader lost one of their good friends. And he's like, there's no reason to exist in the world anymore. I'm going to kill the magical world and I'm going to kill the real world. I don't care. Or Mystic Realm is what it's called. And so that's his goal. That's his deal. And his DB is Resurrection, so it makes him pretty badass. how will they defeat him? Well, I won't spoil exactly how they defeat him, but I'll just go through a lot. I miss my friend here, the unicorn man. I can't remember his name. I thought for sure he was going to fuse with Griff, but he didn't. He just disappeared like he said he was going to. And I was just like so shocked. So yeah, we go through a few fights more with Hardner versus, Hardner versus the Rave Master's crew, Rave Master gang, Rave gang. I don't know what else to call it. And so Haru finally gets involved again, and he decides to take out Hardner. Hardner, on the other hand, summons Endless in attack position, and therefore Haru is screwed because Haru is not strong enough to handle that. Not quite yet. So what's Haru gonna do? What is he gonna do? Again, I don't really want to spoil all that for you quite yet, but it is quite good, and we have some surprise guests coming. After that's all over with, we get sent back to our little base at the Resistance, and we start to kind of plan our next thing to find the last rave, because we're worried that Lucia is already on track to getting the last Mother Dark Ring, which is like bad news, because that means he can end the world and the rave won't have any chance if they don't have the complete rave. We also get a fun little guest, a new little party member, Belnica, that's it right here, Belnica, which is finally actually pretty helpful because Belnica is a healer. And so our crew has been really missing out on a healer because all they really have are Alice's elixirs. So it's great to see them get, a healer like that finally to the crew. I really enjoy how big Haru's gang or crew is, whatever you want to call it, and how Hiro Mashima can kind of juggle all these characters, because I feel like I get a good grasp on each one and I'm able to pick my favorites without, feeling overwhelmed. Kind of like how Oda does it with One Piece. Sneeze by Naoki Urasawa. I gotta say, a lot of these weren't super memorable to me, but I did have a good time reading through all of these. I feel like not too many of them stood out. Would I recommend it? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at that. Snakes and titties. What more could you want? There's some pretty interesting musical references to a few of the stories. One story is pretty much entirely based on music. It's got classic Urasawa art too, so I really would encourage that. Then we got some kaiju battles here as well. A lot of the stories are actually pretty funny, honestly. But yeah, that is pretty much all that there is. It's just a bunch of side stories, and I definitely recommend picking it up if you're a fan of Urasawa or just a fan of short stories in general. I wouldn't say that really any story is bad. I wouldn't say any story is amazing, but I had a good time reading it. I actually read through this whole thing pretty quickly, which maybe that's why I don't have such a fond memory, or not a fond memory, but nothing really sticks to me. Maybe it's because I read it so fast. But I read it so fast because I was interested in all the stories. Usually in short story books, stories kind of tend to slog down a little bit, but I really didn't feel like there was any loss of momentum as I was reading through Sneeze, which is great. Pretty Face Volume 1. Speaking of losing momentum, this story, I honestly don't really like it that much. I do think it's pretty funny. Write the answers for me, Kappa Sensei, because the teacher is trying to blackmail a female student, but he's got this rep against him. So the main character, who is a boy stuck in her body, and the reason why he's stuck in Yuna's body, which is the twin sister of the girl he really likes, is because he gets in a car accident, and everybody thinks he's dead, but he's not dead. This random doctor dude just did plastic surgery to reconstruct his face, but in doing so, he just matches the face of the girl in this picture in his pocket. And the reason he has a picture of her in his pocket is because he has a crush on her. Makes sense. Back then, they didn't have these fancy cell phones to take pictures of the girls you like. You couldn't go on the Pornhub.com back then. And so that's what he does. And the guy is really edging him on to become a full-on transvestite. Main character man's like, ain't no way, guy, I'm not doing that. And so everybody thinks main character guy is dead, but he's not dead. He's this twin sister who ran away from home to become a cosmetologist. And yeah, that's that. And all of a sudden, everybody believes that he is the twin sister of this girl, which I think is kind of weird. But she has amnesia since she ran away because she got in some sort of an accident. I really don't understand why anybody would believe that. He does his best to not be pervy, but he finds himself in pervy situations because that's what happens in the early 2000s in these harem-esque manga. Again, not super great, to be honest with you. Kind of cringy for a lot of it for me. I could definitely see a target audience, enjoying this. It's not my cup of tea, though. But if you're a big fan of jump etchiness, then I gotta say that this is pretty much right on point with that, especially in the earlier 2000s. It's like got more fan service than, I don't know, Nisekoi, I guess. It's hard for me to draw a comparison to Jump Harems because I haven't read them all quite yet. I'm still waiting to read Ichigo or Strawberry 100%, as well as Eyes. I don't think Eyes is going to be a ton of ecchi material, though. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's going to be pretty much a straightforward story with a lot of drama. Strawberry 100% probably will have a lot of etchiness, though. So we'll have to see if that compares. Speaking of etchiness and etchiness done right, Prison School Volume 5. I don't really want to show you guys too much of Prison School, but it's got a lot of etchiness. It's got this girl. Yeah, see, that's enough right there. We kind of pick up where the anime left off in this volume. So if you guys were interested in seeing what happens in Prison School, I would definitely recommend picking it up here. We find out a little bit more about the vice principal school life with Mari, or the principal, and Kate, who is the new warden. She is the student council president, but not the Shadow Club president. There is a little bit of a difference there. So it is very interesting to read through it so far. It's kind of slow. It's cool to see Gact have a girl who is interested in the Three Romance Kingdoms, but she seems really weird, kind of suspicious that she's just setting him up. I hope not, because Gact really deserves a win. He pooped his pants. He's a pant shitter, and he doesn't think he deserves love or friendship, and that's just depressing. Poor Gact. Anyways, that's what I read this week. What did you guys read? Did you guys read anything as cool as Prison School, Rave Master, or Haikyu? Please let me know down below. And again, please like, comment, subscribe. If you made it this far especially, you'll probably like the videos that I post afterwards. Next week, I got a few more Rave Master, a few more Haikyu, and maybe some Prison School. Probably more of this too. See you there. Bye-bye.